Well, today I'm going to try and have a look at my EGR valve system, whatever you call it, exhaust gas recirculation, which is this device here. And the reason I'm looking at this today is this little Lexmoto ZSB. It's a very decent little motorcycle. It's a bit gutless. It starts well, it handles very well for a supposedly budget bike, but one of the things that really that I don't like is the fact that it makes a very strange sound. Not a mechanical racket, nothing like valves or anything like that, but it makes a very strange sound, a very annoying sort of resonance sound that's very similar to a blowing exhaust port. Well, the exhaust port here, there's no sign at all of any gases escaping. It's fixed solidly. There's nothing I can see that would suggest there's any problem at all with the exhaust. I've taken the exhaust off, I've inspected it, there's no splits, there's no hairline fractures. So the only thing that I can think of that could be causing the problem is something to do with maybe the sound is coming from this recirculation system. I don't know if the sound could be coming from up here. But, oh, there's my phone. And so anyway, back to this EGR system. So I'm going to take out the two bolts here at the moment. They appear to be an 8mm bolt. I'm actually wondering if the problem is something to do with this hose. Maybe somehow the noise is coming from the hose, but all I'm going to do is disconnect this and see if there's some way that I can blank this off. I'm going to try maybe putting a penny, but one of the guys on the Lexmoto owner's site, he's suggested taking this off and turning something inside 180 degrees, so presumably just turn it around the other way to see if that makes any difference. So at the moment I've just got my small socket set. I've got the 8mm socket, so I'm going to undo these bolts, and I guess that I'll probably get a screwdriver and take the clamp off just to have a look at this inside. So that's what I'm going to do now. Well, these are the two 8mm bolts that came out. I have to be honest, they weren't in very tightly. Let's have a look at the port. You can see some of the paint's come off here. I don't know if that suggests anything at all to do with the gasket not being very good. Looks fine to me there. So let's put that up out of the way. I've actually just slackened off that Jubilee clip, but it's not coming off the whatever you call this, the valve or whatever it is. And here's a penny. Now it appears that I can put a penny in there and tighten it up, so I'm going to try that. Yeah, we're running again. Yeah, one of the things that I've maybe misunderstood what he said, but one of the guys on the Facebook Lexmoto owners page, so it's Lexmoto UK owners or owners UK page, said to turn something 180 degrees. I'm not sure if that's maybe something up in here, but I'm thinking I should do whatever it is at the first point and completely eradicate anything that's making noise here. So I'm going to use this penny, one not so shiny penny, and see if I can get some sort of seal, and I'll maybe take it for a run. But I think I'm going to have to be quite quick because it's not looking very promising, the weather. Well, I'll say one thing, you're better off using an 8mm spanner. I ended up just putting the 8mm socket onto this to get in there, because even though this is a very thin socket wrench, it was starting to touch here on the frame. So I put the penny in place. I don't know if you can see anything at all underneath there, but the penny is in there. Let's see if it starts up. Some people might be wondering why I'm doing this. It's just a temporary measure to see if it makes any difference to the sound, and then if it is successful, I'll get a proper blanking plate to put in there, or I'll make one up. Well, it was never, it never made that noise at tick over speed, but I'm going to wait till the sun comes out, hopefully. I'll take it for a run and I'll get back to you. Probably going to stall on me. Well, I'm back from my run. I'm just starting to slacken off these 8mm bolts. The outcome of the run, I would say, wasn't a positive one. It's actually sounding marginally louder, so I'm assuming that there's not such a good seal with the penny, and that might be a clue that it's something to do with this, but that could be my imagination. So I'll whip this off, and then I believe I have to take this out and turn the diaphragm round. So that's my next step. So I'm going to take these bolts out, remove the penny, connect this up again, and hopefully reverse this. Well, I've moved the EGR valve, I think that's what you call it. So this is this rubber tube. I'm not sure if that's the source of the noise. I'm going to start the bike up in a sec and see what kind of noise I get coming out of this. But this screw has slackened off, and this one is made of cheese. So I'm going to have to get mole grips or something on that to get it out, because it's just as I say, it's made of cheese, which is pretty useless. So anyway, I'll get that off and then we'll see what the diaphragm looks like inside. Now this is what it looks like inside. I've removed this. There's a rubber diaphragm. Obviously meant to go one way. It's sticking up the way. I actually thought it should have been into that recess. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Probably pushes right in there. But if I look at this, I can certainly see there's some soot. But anyway, I'm going to start this bike up and see what happens. Well, this is what it sounds like when you start it up. That does sound like a blowing exhaust. Doesn't sound like a blowing exhaust now. So, right, we'll start it again. Very much like a blowing exhaust. Put my finger on it. Sounds very quiet to me. Well, it's certainly a bit of a fiddle to get this thing back on because the diaphragm is actually wider than the recess. So what I would recommend is, if you want to put it back on, I certainly can't video it with holding the camera at the same time, put it in sort of halfway round, put the top back on while pushing the diaphragm into the recess, put one screw in to hold it in place, and then you just take a flat blade screwdriver and go around slowly, a bit like fitting a tyre or putting an inner tube into a tyre or something like that, and eventually it'll all slip in and it'll pop up inside this area. So I haven't reversed the diaphragm there. I'll maybe have a look at the bottom here, see what goodies are in here. So I'll stop just now and I'll have a look inside. Right, a piece of advice for you here. These screws, don't even attempt to undo them. As you can see there, pretty well chewed up. I put a screwdriver in there very briefly. There's no way in hell these cheap Chinese screws are going to turn. So I've just been using a pair of pipe grips and just getting them from the side and then just cracking them. So you'll just strip them to hell. They're just cheap shit. Probably just the same cheap shit you get in a Japanese one as well, but certainly can't take any kind of torque on them. So anyway, I'm going to take this off with a screwdriver and we'll see what's inside here. So if you've not been able to sleep at nights wondering what's inside the EGR valve, so that's the top, or the bottom as it were. Take that off. You can see there's been some sort of exhaust gases in there with the colour of it. And then it looks like an old school reed valve for a two-stroke. Could this be what's causing the resonance sound? I don't actually know. But anyway, I'll undo the screw and I'll have a look and see what's underneath that. I don't know if this is the diaphragm. Anyway, sun's coming out, that's nice. So if I turn that round, so how does that work? Exhaust comes in here, somehow goes out there. Anyway, I'll have a look. Well, that's I don't know what to describe it as other than maybe like a reed valve assembly type thing. That's what's inside there. It's hard to see on this tiny little 2-inch screen, but there's a spring in there which presumably pushes this thing down here. I can only imagine it works on pressure somehow, but there's not much that I can say about that. So anyway, I'll put that back together and reassemble it. I see that there's two ways that you could in fact put this on. Presumably this is the correct way. There's obviously a deeper trough here, so that this thing fits in, but you could put it that way as well. I don't know what difference that would make to the running of it, but I'll certainly put it back the way it was intended to be. Well, that's it all back together. Everything's connected up. I still need to give these retaining nuts and bolts a quick nip up, but that's pretty much it. Back exactly to how it was this morning. I thought I'd have a quick look at my spark plug. It's looking okay. I think I might need to just change that gap slightly. It looks closer to about 1 millimeter than 0.6, but anyway, no further forward. Any other recommendations as to why I get this annoying resonance sound similar to a blowing exhaust port with no evidence at all of any leak from the exhaust port? I'll take it for a run just now before the bloody rain starts. It's cloudy again. Let's see if there's any improvement whatsoever.